What's up, my friends? Welcome to these divination sessions where we'll be diving into what your major theme will be for the year of 2022. Now, we are covering two main aspects today. One will be your greatest strength or your greatest advantage walking into this year. And next, we will be covering where will be the greatest opportunity for growth. So, in other words, your greatest challenge throughout this upcoming year. And a quick disclaimer that I felt guided to make predictions are essentially just tuning into where the most amount of energy has gained momentum and just understanding how energy works, right? That if energy has been gaining momentum in a certain direction, it's likely that that energy will continue to do so. The only time it wouldn't is if someone had like an activation, or another way of saying that is a huge leap in paradigm, which is also absolutely possible. And generally too, that's something that we can pick up on, right? That's something that is generally also written in the soul's blueprint as a possibility or as a probable timeline, right? So just a quick disclaimer of what predictions essentially are. So we have 6 piles to choose from today. Go ahead and take your time. And you guys might be guided to more than one pile. And whenever you are ready, we're going to jump right into these readings. What's up, group number 1? Here is your main theme for 2022. Now, your greatest advantage stepping into 2022, I'm hearing you guys, is your ability to connect to spirit and your ability to connect with your higher self. I'm hearing that you have an almost devotional relationship or devotional connection with source or with life itself. I feel like what's really coming through as your guys' major theme for this year is understanding, really seeing how the realms of spirit can and absolutely will manifest and help dictate and take care of what's happening on the realms of form, right? Because we have the prayer coming through for your biggest advantage. So your greatest advantage is most certainly that you do have a devotional sense of connecting with the creator or with source or with your higher self. And this can look a myriad of different ways. You guys might, take traditional prayer pose, or you might pray how it's taught in like Christianity. Or, your devotion, your way of communing with spirit might just be meditation, right? There's different ways. Some people get that through sports or things that force them into the present moment. Or just like being a runner, something that allows that endorphin high to come through, yet also that brings you into a space of feeling like you are very powerful, like you have a lot of horsepower behind you, because essentially you know that spirit's got your back, right? That's kind of what I'm gaining overall from the energy of this pile. Is there's this undeniable sense of there is a higher order, there's a higher intelligence dictating this reality. And I'm not always certain of how exactly it works or how exactly it brings all the components into our life, but there's a sense of trust that's really going to be a great advantage for you moving forward this year, because I am hearing that you guys might have gone through a recent rebirth or a recent awakening. I'm just getting this sense of one of the greatest challenges for you guys in the year 2022 is not taking for face value when things start to go awry, right? And the reason I'm really picking this up, you guys, is because we have the gazelle and we have the daughter of pentacles here. However, they're both deers, right? They're both like, this is a fawn, right? And they're both like these animals that essentially at the slightest sense of danger, they can become extremely skittish and run away and, essentially sometimes it's like it's not even a real threat that has entered their awareness or that has entered their field, right? And so, you know, we have earth energy and we have fire energy here too. So this is really telling me that your greatest challenge will be found in these transformative experiences that, you know, cause you to kind of forget about spirit. It's like you have a really solid grip on spirit when things are going good. And when there's not too much turmoil in your outside, in your external world. However, I'm hearing or feeling that your challenge is understanding that those same forces are still highly active, even in the midst of your greatest challenges, right? And I would argue to even say that that is also essentially, you know, this is where the utmost trust comes in, is essentially remembering that everything, right? Everything is here to help you, right? Where do rainbows come from? Rainbows come from rain, right? A combination of rain and sunshine. And it's reminding me of that quote, you know, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain, right? That kind of energy is what I'm feeling here. So there's a lot of transformation for you in the year of 2022 in regards to seeing things from a much more holistic picture, and to not lose your connection or to not feel like you have been forsaken, like, Father, why have you forsaken me? That line, right? When challenges start to arise, because, you know, it's actually within those moments where, you know, things are kind of getting shaken up externally that we really do see where our levels of faith are. So this year of 2022 for you guys is really about developing an even stronger conviction in your faith, an even stronger conviction in everything is here to usher me into more of myself. Everything is here to usher me into more of my power, and I don't have to run away from it. I don't have to fear it, right? I'm about to throw out another Bible phrase, because I've been listening to a lot of lectures and teachers that you know, use phrases from the Bible that are absolutely applicable here. And that is, although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, right? And that's your greatest strength, because ultimately you do know, right? This kind of reminds me of a rebirth too. So maybe you guys are going through a dark night period right now where there will be significant rebirth experiences, or at least one significant rebirth experience that leaves you feeling forever changed, right? And the reasoning for it is most certainly to help you reestablish a different relationship to these kind of phoenix rising moments, and really not getting down, right? Not getting swept in the wave of making any of these things positive or negative, but essentially understanding that it's all here to strengthen you, right? And lastly, I just want to leave off with both of these animals, especially the gazelle. They're extremely graceful, even in the face of danger, right? And I feel like that's really this sense of connecting to spirit. That's really where that kind of grace comes from, even in the face of danger. And oftentimes, you know, especially when gazelles are moving, you know, not in herds, and it's a lot harder to catch just a single gazelle. Like, a lot of the times they get away, right? So to me, this is really saying that your biggest advantage is going to help you through these challenges of, don't think you are being forsaken. We don't always know from this level why things occur and how certain challenges are meant to catalyze us in a certain way. And we enjoy the journey so much more when we understand that. And secondly, it's like we collapse the amount of time that we have to be in a container of healing and of transformation and of a lesson, when we already assume that it's here to help us in a positive way, right? And oftentimes, or sometimes, it's not even necessary to go through certain lessons when we can kind of see something coming our way, right? We can kind of sense something coming our way, and then we're already extracting, okay, what would that teach me if it were to manifest on the earth plane? And try to embody those codes, try to embody that light already, because that's essentially all that lessons are here for. They're here to activate certain codes within us that allow us to embody more light. And so we're more free. We're able to move more freely in this world of form, not feeling bound by anything. So desires, fantasies, etc. But also, you know, what we try to stay away from, what repels us, what we're afraid of, also binds us as well. So freedom through devotion, and freedom through your connection to spirit is your main theme for 2022. If this video resonated, please give this a thumbs up. Any synchronicities, leave me a comment. I love connecting with you guys, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, pile number 2? Welcome to your reading for your main theme for 2022. Now, this pile is so clear to me. This year of 2022, I feel like you guys are going to meet a level of success that you haven't experienced before, or something about you gaining a lot of recognition is very clear. Your biggest advantage walking into the year of 2022 is all of the wisdom and the knowledge that you've gathered, not just from this incarnation, you guys, but all that you've activated from parallel incarnations as well. When I say parallel, I just mean past or future timelines. You guys are kind of like this point right here, right? This point in the center that is calling all of this information back to yourself, right? Gnosis is all about knowing. You know, one of my favorite lecturers that would often use that word gnosis is Alan Watts, right? So gnosis is essentially just knowledge. It is the type of individual that would be drawn to this pile are those individuals that are quite truly the philosophers of this generation and the philosophers of this world in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys have placements in the ninth house, or if you guys are like Sagittarians or have strong Sagittarius in your charts, right? And, you know, just a little side note, looking at Sidereal, so Vedic and tropical astrology can reveal and confirm quite a bit for us, because yeah, that's its own tangent. But regardless of that, it's just very clear. Essentially, all astrology is kind of pointing us back to our soul's blueprint and kind of meant to confirm what it is that we already intuitively know about ourselves. So your guys' greatest advantage coming into 2022 is the fact that you are a storehouse of knowledge, right? You probably are very well versed in many different areas, and there's probably one field specifically that you guys find yourself immersed in, right? Or that you feel like comes very natural to you in terms of what you like to study and what just sticks, right? Generally, the avenues that we're guided to explore are avenues that, you know, we're just building. We're building more knowledge off of what has occurred or is occurring in other lifetimes. And so I'm hearing that your challenge, or your biggest challenge for 2022, you guys, is the success that's going to come in for you, right? It seems like this is going to be a material kind of success with this King of Pentacles, a material abundance. And I continue to hear like the biggest challenge is not letting it get to your head, right? The starfish can represent superficiality, but it can also represent a level of depth too. So, you know, the reason why you guys are essentially getting to this point of gaining more recognition and advancing in your career is because of all that you offer here, right? The value that you bring to the lives of other people through all that you've studied. And all that you've studied are generally things that you already know to be true intuitively. And so we can already house these powerful codes within our soul's blueprint. And then essentially we just draw the teachers to us, and we draw the resources, we draw the books, the audios, whatever. We draw those into our field in order to confirm and to deepen our conviction in what we already know is true. And so a being that is a really great teacher and a really great guide for other people, however this is manifesting in your guys' world, there's someone who is so convicted, right? You can feel the place that they're speaking from is truth, right? It's coming from the depths of them, and it's not coming from the head, right? It's not just lip service. They've been through the experience. They are calling upon wisdom from other incarnations, and from some of you from other star systems as well, with the starfish card. But I'm hearing ultimately there's a lot of success coming in for you guys. There's a lot of recognition, more people knowing about you or knowing you. There's a lot of material abundance. You're going to notice a shift in your finances. Your greatest advantage is also going to help you through this, because ultimately, you know, my philosophers know what's up, right? That most people that really are in tune with asking the deeper questions of life don't really get swept up in the kind of comings and goings, including success, including failure, right? And understanding too that that's all a subjective experience. And so if you're kind of removed from that, or if you're calling upon your wisdom, which regardless of what field you're in, or regardless of what leg or sect of religion you're studying, like truth is truth, right? There's a lot of books that have like taken the parallel teachings of like Lao Tzu and Krishna and Buddha and Jesus and really shown word for word how they're essentially kind of saying the same thing, right? So I feel like the root of what you've extracted up to this point in time and what you know to be true will not allow you to get swept up in this. And I feel like a deeper part of you will know and just remember that this is just, I don't know what else I would do in this lifetime, right? You don't know what else you would do. And this is something that you're really good at. It's something that's obviously part of your soul's blueprint. So you're like, it's me, but it's not. Like there's a deeper part of you that, what will help you with this opportunity for growth. And your greatest opportunity for growth is not getting swept up, not letting your head inflate, essentially. And remembering that you're just playing your part this time around, right? And the more that you release the sense of the small self, it's me, it's this little me that's doing it, the more that you allow more of that greatness to come through. And I can already tell this is a pile that's already been doing this, because I mean, we wouldn't have this. Wouldn't really have this coming through in such a grounded way if you guys hadn't done a lot of this unearthing and seeing the nature of reality for what it is, right? So 2022 looks extremely prosperous for you guys. I mean, because you're not only having it financially, right? It's not only going to be in terms of the finances or just like worldly recognition. It's really coming through as you already are so much grounded and so much more ahead of many people that like get the success and get the fame and then feel empty because they hadn't done that deep, rich self-exploration first. Right. And so you've already done that, right? You've already done, and you are continuing to do. This is your life path, man. You're tapped in. You are tapped into your soul stream. You're tapped into your soul's blueprint. It's very evident. So you already have that foundation, that deep sense of knowing who's really running the show and understanding that you're just the vessel. You're just opening up. And I feel like the excitement of 2022 is just finally seeing the fruits of all of your work and all of the unearthing you've done. Not even necessarily external work, but the internal work that you've done. Finally seeing the fruits of that externally. Because I feel like you guys have been here for some time. You know, it looks like this bird has been going through the rungs, right? Going around for some time and now finally breaking through, right? Finally kind of transcending that point of karma where it was necessary, right? And karma in this sense is just like, I'm coming at it in this sense from a necessary part of your soul's blueprint that you needed to have, right? It's like a kind of like a foolproof way that your guide set in place or your higher self set in place. So you'd keep the important things, the most important things, and everything else is a bonus, right? It's kind of like that phrase, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all else will be added unto you. 2022 is the all else being added unto you year. So let me know how this pans out for you guys. This is really exciting. Thank you for tuning in. If this video resonated, give it a thumbs up. Any comments or synchronicities, leave those down below. And I hope I see you soon. What's up, group number 3? Here is your reading for your main theme for the year of 2022. So your greatest strength and your greatest advantage coming into this year, you guys, is this feeling of being untouchable that you guys have gained and garnered from being through a lot. I'm seeing this pile as beings that are quite content and have really developed a transparent relationship with the notion of endings, right? And specifically, death is a strong undertone for Thanatos with this card. But just endings in general, relationships, relationship endings, heartbreaks. It feels like this is a pile where your greatest advantage is you understand that everything has an expiration date, right? And I feel like that's not necessarily always coming from a pessimistic lens, right? But your greatest opportunity for growth is really shifting this kind of dark energy. And, maybe even for some of you, it has kind of shifted into a more pessimistic way of looking at things and an inability to really open your heart and an inability to work well with others. And it's not even a malicious thing. I feel like it's more of a self-preservation, like preserving your heart and not wanting to, become so invested in someone or something, an organization or whatever, community, and then just to have it ripped away from you. Your greatest challenge for the year 2022, we have the Bee and we have the Five of Wands. So this kind of, to me, the Bee, this is very clear. The Bee is an individual or an organism, a creature that works in groups, right? It puts the colony, or it puts the well-being of the hive above everything else. And then the Five of Wands is, kind of the opposite. It's about fighting, or it's about competition. It's about, fear of someone else getting ahead. So I'm hearing that it's important that if you guys haven't lost anyone recently, to not automatically assume that you will. For some of you guys, that may very well be true, and you probably are already aware of someone who is kind of nearing the end. But your greatest opportunity for growth is in maintaining this bright aura. I mean, look at the difference. Feel the difference between this card and this card. And this is not essentially a negative thing. However, it can put us into this. We can become so accustomed to that energy of, I don't really know exactly how to describe it. I haven't tried to put it into words before at this point in time, but it kind of feels like this heavy energy. However, there's a lot of potency behind it as well. It's very powerful. However, requiring a balance. One of your greatest challenges is definitely seeing the light side and understanding that not everyone is against you, and that life is not against you, right? Life is not working against you. I feel like because we have Thanatos coming up in the place of your greatest challenge or your greatest advantage, I feel like once you see this, it's just a perspective tweak that I can feel your guides are wanting for you guys in this moment. And it's almost like you can enjoy your connections with people, and you can enjoy your chapters, each chapter of life. So when you're traveling, or when you are working a certain job, like, you can enjoy it even more because it's not going to last. Instead of holding parts of yourself back, right? Not fully giving your heart to a love connection, or not fully investing in your family or whatever it is, right? Your friends, whatever, because there's a fear that, or there's just a knowing, you just know at this point that everything has an expiration date. And you guys are probably the people that move in and out of things very quickly, very advanced kind of path that you're on. Different foundations you're supposed to have laid for you, and different foundations and different contracts you've had with many people for many reasons, and many organizations too, right? So the perspective tweak here is, I can enjoy these things so much more because I know they're going to end, right? And that allows you to show up more fully. It's weird because we all know that as humans that, this life has an expiration date, right? That's one of the reasons why there's yogis that used to say, or that used to believe that we come into this world with a certain number of breaths already predisposed to us, or already given to us, I should say. And so the slower we breathe, and that's just another way of saying the more present we are, the more relaxed we are, the more that we're just really stopping to smell the roses, the more likely we are to extend our lifetime, right? Because we're not wasting our breath, I just saw the screen flash. That was really weird. But we're not going through expending our breaths because we're just trying to get to the end, or, we're afraid, right? Breathing shallow and breathing quickly is associated with fear, and not feeling like feeling ultimately that life doesn't have your back, and that it's bad, or that it's just negative, or that it's not meant to be fulfilling or something. Or I'm feeling this energy of, what's the point? What's the point of doing this, or being friends with this person, or getting into this relationship, because it's just going to end, right? And really shifting your perception into, okay, breathing slower, right? I'm going to extend my lifetime, not just this lifetime, right? Not just speaking about that, but your time with people and things, and in certain chapters of your life, really does feel a lot more rich, and it feels longer when you're present, right? When you're fully submerged in the here and now. So it's like your greatest advantage is that you do see, you have been exposed to the fact that death is real and that this doesn't go on forever. And the same thing with most partnerships, and even friendships. A good chunk of them are not meant to extend throughout our entire lifetime. And that's fine, right? Not needing to make that be positive or negative. But this really is saying that you can enjoy it and that you should enjoy the community that's around you while it is there and the chapters that you are in. And it doesn't have to be such a struggle and a battle with life, and a battle of like, why is everything that I loved ripped away from me, right? It's because it was you were meant to teach people something while you were there, and vice versa. Believe it or not, it's not by accident. It's not by coincidence that these things happen. And remembering too that this is an aspect of your soul's blueprint. This is something that you intentionally knew were going to happen on a higher level. You knew that you would have all these endings and all these literal or metaphorical deaths happen throughout your life, so that you could experience it with a level of richness and a level of sobriety that most people, especially in modern culture, are not exposed to, right? So, 2022, looking good for you guys. Overall, I'm really seeing a theme of how these strengths will naturally help the challenges, right? So I hope this brought confirmation, clarity, peace to your heart. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment anything down below. I love connecting with you guys, and I hope I see you soon. Hey, pile number 4. So really quick, I knew that this reading was going to be awesome. I really knew it was going to be a powerful group, because this card, when I was shuffling for your animal card, it flew out and like fell on the floor face up. So I already saw one of your cards yesterday, and I just thought, I remember being like, okay, pile 4 is going to be popping, literally, because the energy is very, it's very active is what I felt yesterday. And I'm definitely seeing a continuation of that today. So your major theme for 2022 is, I feel like you guys are going to finally come to a point where you recognize that a path you have been on is leading nowhere, right? And I feel like you guys have already been getting glimpses of this probably, or like wondering. This could be with a person, but for many of you, I am feeling like this is in the realms of like business, or, entrepreneurial, or something to do with your career. I am hearing that there is a part of you where you understand an aspect of it. One of your greatest strengths is 1:11 on the clock, is being able to recognize what aspects of what you're doing in life, what aspects are really, really leading you somewhere that you actually want to be, and not somewhere that you think you should be, right? So this might not just be one particular area of life. This could just say in general, you are acknowledging, the theme of 2022 is acknowledging all of those things in your life that you do at a detriment to your own heart and soul, right? Because your greatest challenge, you guys, we have the unicorn, which is the card that flew out, and the Ace of Wands coming up, right? So your greatest challenge, I feel like, is understanding that your uniqueness and the unique gifts that you have that are probably quite different from the norm, the mainstream norm. Your greatest challenge is accepting and understanding and really deeply feeling that those will guide you, those gifts and those talents and your inspiration is meant to guide you somewhere for a reason. And that's not to the edge of a cliff, right, where you're not going to be taken care of. But I feel like your main advantage for 2022 is I feel like you guys are kind of fed up with doing things just because it's what's always been done, or because that's what people expect of you, or because that's what society expects of you, or what. It's like sometimes our biggest advantage is having these things in our life that we're so frustrated over, and we're like, I'm so done with this, right? And we can bitch and we can moan, but it's like we were meant to be in that pressure cooker for some time, because by the time that those opportunities do come around, it's very likely that we are going to logic and reason ourselves out. It's like we're pushed up against the wall, or we're pushed into a corner. And so what else do we have to do? We can only go forward. We can only attack, right? And so I feel like your greatest challenge for 2022 is not even necessarily, I feel like you guys have kind of already been in those realms of like, okay, this ain't going anywhere, or the way I've been living in this area, this certain area, is not for me, right? This is just over. It's dead and it's done, right? So you being honest with yourself about what's happening is a serious advantage, right? Your greatest challenge is you being able to accept that there is something higher guiding you, and or just trusting where that guidance is leading you, because it's the road less traveled. The road less traveled is like going through a jungle that's never been hacked before, right? The path hasn't been laid. So it's going to seem challenging in some instances, right? This is a card of spirit, right? This is I hardly draw spirit cards when I'm using this animal deck for group readings. So this pile is a pile that is, you guys really do feel that there's a greater cosmic intelligence that is guiding you here, right? But it's interesting, we have the moon here and the spirit card. It's like, can I really trust it, right? There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of fears associated with like being able to actually trust it. And it's important to remember those fears aren't always necessarily yours. It could be generational karma, or just how you were brought up. If you were brought up in like traditional like Christianity or one of those religions that were, it's one of those things where you can have people be very religious and not necessarily spiritual. Then you might be, part of your blueprint is reestablishing true spirituality, which is just communion with the source of all things, right? And truly trusting the inspiration that's coming through, and ultimately trusting that to pave your way, right? There's a saying in the Tao Te Ching that is, the difficult path seems easy and the easy path seems difficult. So for many people, the path that is difficult, that seems easy, is the path where you're essentially selling your soul, right? Just because that's what everyone else has been doing, and that's what everyone else tells you should be doing, right? So taking that 9-to-5, or staying in that relationship because for the kids, or whatever, however this applies to you, because you've been there so long, or because you've known them so long, they're your sibling, whatever, right? These are just different examples, but this is, I feel like, much more profound for you guys. This shift is not just about this one area. It's the fact that it really feels like an activation for you, where you're not fucking around anymore, where that's at least your greatest opportunity for growth, is where you are taking the easy path, which seems difficult to the outside looking in, right? Like taking this path, taking this journey that hasn't been set before, it hasn't been laid out before, right? It's essentially you really trusting something that you can't see, you can't hear. Well, maybe some of you guys can see and hear, depending on which gifts you have that are active, which I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are very much so in those realms of really communing and seeing, and you have different abilities to be able to tune into these realms and to tune into the other dimensions that are very much so active around us too, right? So, your strength is aiding into this, because I feel like you guys at this point don't know what else to do. So that is your advantage. That is your strength. You really see that this is not leading you. This is leading you into a timeline really fast that you don't want anything else to do with, right? And so your greatest challenge is actually following where you're guided, following the inspiration, right? In spirit. Inspiration in spirit, it's being given to you by spirit. And also this sense, you guys are whatever you're doing is very different, or just who you are is very unique. You draw a lot of attention to you that might be uncomfortable for you, or maybe in the past that has been uncomfortable for you, but I'm hearing even in your guys's even in your hardest moments, or even in your struggles or your fears, your insecurities, right? It's all kind of it's like, I'm just seeing this moon as like colorful, right? It's not like a traditional moon, right? And so I feel like even when you feel these things, these levels of insecurity, etc., it's like your okay day is someone else's phenomenal, right? I mean, it's very clear that you guys are, out of this world. Probably even maybe resonate with not being native to this planet. But that doesn't have to be the case for all of you, essentially it's like one of your greatest challenges is the fact that you are going to be relying on your skills and talents and not doing shit, or it's like you guys will be embodying this level of authenticity that might have been scary for you. This could also ultimately be saying that there's no going back from here. Like the path that you guys are on, or the path that you merge with, or the path where it is evident that you're tuning into your inspiration and you're doing something very different from the mainstream, and it's really like this expression of your uniqueness that is so obvious for the world to see. To maybe there's even some tangibility behind it, like you're offering programs or services or whatever, you're a dancer, or whatever for you kind of represents this Ace of Wands energy. This could be saying that there's no going back, that you've really solidified yourself by 2022, or the end of it, you will really be solidified within this new paradigm, that there's no going back, right? There's no backtracking. It's like you are solid, you are set. And I do feel like ultimately, although these cards are coming up in the position of your challenge, I do ultimately feel that you guys will overcome, right? That you guys will learn to trust, or trust even more. But ultimately, this is saying, okay, this is what it was, why I was so dead set on this. It's like your, oh man, where did it go? Oh, the fears and the insecurities and whatever this new endeavor represents for you is ultimately also what makes you so beautiful. It's what makes you so attractive. It's what makes you so mystical. It adds to you. It's not, these aren't negative things. This is an aspect of polarity, which is what this planet operates under, laws of polarity, right? And so these aren't negative things. And if anything, if that's one of your main inhibitions, is whatever insecurities or fears or doubts, like using those to your advantage, right? And understanding that everyone starts with that. No one that has done anything successful has not felt those things. Right. And so using that in whatever way you can to inspire you to continue to move forward. Everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone starts from nothing, right? We quite literally start from nothing. All of us, this entire universe. So, there's nothing super special about you in that regard, right? So I hope this brought clarity, confirmation, peace to your heart for your theme of 2022. Please give this video a thumbs up if it resonated. Comment down below if that resonates. And I hope I see you soon. What is up, pile number 5? Welcome to your reading for your main theme for 2022. Now, this year of 2022 is going to open the entirety of your being. Essentially, though, it's a year of the heart for you guys. You are being blasted wide open in terms of your capacity to feel, not just feeling in your own life, but your feelings for humanity. And there is an undeniable sense of just being blasted open, right? And going through significant heart chakra activations. You guys got the card Agape for your main strength and your main advantage going in. And this always reminds me of like the chakras, right? This always reminds me of the chakras, and what sits at the center is the heart chakra. And this card essentially represents that feeling you get when you see like the aurora borealis, the northern lights, if you've ever seen that, or you see nature doing something incredible, or you're standing at like a 100-foot waterfall or something, and you're just in awe, right? So your greatest advantage is, I feel like you guys are at a point where you've really carved those types of, you've found yourself in situations or you've created situations where you're in that feeling, you're in that sense quite a bit. So it's like you've already been doing this tenderizing of your heart. It's already been happening, right? Some of you guys might have kids, or some of you guys might have animals, or there's a sense of you guys knowing where to get the nectar, right? Knowing where to go. I'm seeing a hummingbird, and hummingbirds represent these little tiny creatures that are so mystical, but they know where to go to receive their nectar, to receive their nourishment. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this group, is you guys know how to recharge. There's water that's definitely, water is a very strong element that is coming through here. Your greatest challenge in the year of 2022 is actually not getting swept up in the suffering of the world. Right, is not getting swept up in your own darkness. We have the frog and the moon coming up. The frog is a nocturnal creature, right? I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but they come alive in the nighttime. Some of you guys might really resonate with that. Little Drake quote there. Yeah, so I'm really seeing this as, it's like the darkness is falling on this frog, right? And the frog, what does the frog do? The frog croaks. So when I was really tuning into this pile, I thought of the frog, being in the forest, being in the darkness and croaking and almost like drawing attention, right? It's like, I feel like the theme of 2022 is not drawing attention to your weaknesses, not drawing more attention than needs to be to the suffering of the planet, right? I feel like this is a group that injustices can really get to you, and wanting justice for certain groups of people and certain beings is really important to you. However, this is asking you for an alternative way to heal those injustices on the planet, and it's not necessarily by pointing out that they're there, right? At the same time, it's not burying your head and pretending like it's not happening. However, I feel like there might be certain things, certain aspects that are triggering this in your life, or, things that are happening in your relationships, or things that are happening to people you love, or things that are even happening to you that is bringing you in this energy, in this sense of wanting to, like, getting lost in it, right? This moon card reminds me of being in the darkness with a little light, with not too much light being shed onto the world or onto this area of your life, right? And just understanding this is even a crescent moon, right? So it's not even a full moon. So it's not even its full capacity of light. So I am hearing that in those aspects. Okay, this is it. It's important. Your theme of 2022 is understanding that when you are feeling grief, it's okay to let that grief move through, right? When you see suffering, right? That's natural. That's part of the human heart, right? So not shutting off your human heart, because that's the portal, that's the bridge into merging your higher self, right? The divine ideals with what's happening on the earth plane. However, I am hearing that it's essential that you tune more into your high heart when things are happening on the planet that break your human heart, right? Because the high heart reminds us that we don't always know why things are happening on the planet, right? And why certain injustices are happening, but we can trust that a greater force, a greater intelligence is operating. So I heard recently, Mateas De Stefano, he is a speaker on Gaia Network, and it was so funny. He talked about what an earthquake is for Earth, right? Essentially, he said, what an earthquake on Earth is, it's like Earth going like this, sitting up and going, just stretching. And it was so funny. He's like, it's just a release of energy. And it's important to understand, and it's important to remember we don't always know what's happening on higher levels. And if we are to assume, if we forget the fact that, and I guess this also depends on just what your beliefs are, but I feel like regardless of what beliefs, if you believe that we have more lifetimes, right? That we have more life cycles than just one, regardless if you're on page with that, it's like we naturally as humans have this idea inherent to us that all of our suffering is not for nothing, right? We don't suffer for nothing. A deeper part of us understands that suffering will lead us somewhere, and it is meant for something much greater than we can even understand in this moment, right? So your major challenge for the year of 2022 is not getting swept up in things and not drawing attention to the darkness, right? This does not mean not acknowledging it. I just really feel guided to say that this is not about like bypassing and pretending like it's not happening, right? But the real way that we find harmony is when we remember how things operate, right? In any healthy organism, you're going to have cells dying, right? Because what is cancer? Cancer is an overabundant amount of cells in a certain area in the body, more so than is healthy, right? So if it was just life all the time, or good all the time, we would become numb to that, right? Or it would lose life and just relationships, etc. would kind of lose a really important dimension of what makes them so cherishable, is understanding that they don't have to be there and they always won't be there, right? Or things won't always be going good, or they shouldn't always be going good. And this is part of opening your heart even more. It's not to, not to make you like turn away from the darkness at all, but it's like not getting swept up in it, right? Like the darkness is literally raining on him, right? And coming alive in the nighttime, right? It's this phrase is coming through again. It came through another pile, but there's this saying, I actually have it in my room, this little block wooden board that says, life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And so 2022 for you is about adding a different dimension to this heart activation, these heart activations you're going through. So I feel like you're already quite good at those moments where you can really feel your heart, like from the sweetness of life, right? But this is adding another dimension to your empathy, to your levels of compassion. It's deepening you into the truth of life, right? It's in a weird way, it's helping you transcend it by going through all of it, right? It's like the only way to get through is to go through, right? And so I feel like 2022 for you, and in no way do I want to say that there's just going to be a bunch of terrible shit happening, but you're becoming more, that tenderizing of the heart was very apparent in the beginning of this reading. So it's like your heart is already open. It's wide open, right? And the more we can only experience those good qualities and the good aspects of life that we look forward to, and we can only have more joy, have more presence with our kids, and have more connection with people that are really authentic, that are really genuine. Like that deepens to the extent that we are also able to go onto the other end of the polarity spectrum, right? And it's it's about not getting swept up in it. That's what the spiritual journey essentially is all about, is about training yourself to see more through the eyes of God, which again is like, doesn't see anything that's happening as good or bad. It sees everything as a neutral perspective, right? This is where we become co-creators, right? Sparks of God, aspects of God, the sons and daughters of God, is that through our perception, we are able to create whatever storyline or narrative, etc., around it, right? Where essentially it's like the coloring book. It's like the page is there, right? The lines are all drawn, but you get to color it in however you want. Do you want to color it in shades of gray and black, right? Or are you going to color it in with like all these beautiful blues and pinks and yellows, right? So it's really, again, I feel like maybe to an extent that you haven't been used to, you're just going to feel a lot more. And it's an invitation, it's an opportunity, right? This is opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to not call more attention on it, or not seeing, oh, why is the planet like this, right? Because this is the planet Earth. It is a planet that is ran and operates by polarity, even down to the level of an atom, right? We have positrons and we have electrons, right? We have things with positive charges, negative charges. That's part of it, right? It's the dance of the elements, or the gunas, the different states of energy. That's all it is, right? It's all required. These are all things that are required in order to operate and to have a relevant experience on planet Earth, right? And so I feel like you're being invited to see more through the eyes of God. So you're just really in awe of all of it, because you're like, I never know how it's going to happen. And I feel like ultimately it's bringing you to this place. It's inviting you into that state of more transcendence of, just because something seems unfortunate right now, who knows what's going to be born of that, right? Who knows what goodness is going to be born of that, and vice versa. Who knows, when something really fortunate comes into our life, there is the possibility, the great potential for suffering built into that, right? Because then you're afraid of losing it. Then you're afraid of it not always being there to bring you happiness, right? This is trying to bring you into a state of true bliss. And that's your connection to spirit. That's your connection to the heart of all man, and understanding we all are telling the same story. We're all telling the same story. So you're not turning your eyes away, but you're just like, there it is. It's the human drama playing itself out. So beautiful, beautiful energies. I'm like getting emotional tuning into this group. So keep your heart open, man. That's your greatest strength. And that will also be your greatest challenge in 2022, is keeping that heart open. Empty. So my friends, I hope this brought clarity, peace, confirmation to your heart. Please give this video a thumbs up if it did. Comment down below if it resonates, and I hope I see you soon. Hey Pile 6, welcome to your reading for your 2022 theme. Now, this pile is very clear to me as to what your main advantage and strength, and then your greatest opportunity for growth, the year of 2022. It's very clear that you guys are stepping into 2022 feeling like the ruler of your domain. That's what I heard when I saw this card. I saw the Hamsa when I saw this, this thing. I saw that, like the hand going like this, and then generally this would be the third eye, right? So I feel like you guys just feel very divinely protected going into 2022. I feel like you guys, generally, you're in this place of you feel abundant, right? Where you just radiate. You are in your power. You are in your lane. You are coming across as someone that is very confident and knows where they're going, knows what they want. And generally for you guys, I feel like you do come across very warm, because I am seeing this almost as if like there's rays of light coming out. Oh my gosh. Your greatest opportunity, I'm just going to jump right into it because it's so evident that your greatest strength, it leads directly into this greatest opportunity for growth in the year of 2022, is to, I feel like you guys are so fiery and you really know what you want, that your greatest opportunity is to not sting others, or just to be mindful of how you're showing up to other people and to be generous, right? This card, with this Four of Cups, this can talk about greed. It can talk about just like wanting to hoard, right? So I feel like this is reminding you that the year of 2022, your greatest opportunity for growth is kind of a sharing and just a being generous. This doesn't always have to do with resources, right? But I feel like you guys are very okay with saying things how they are. And maybe there's a level of you that has invited this sense of like this fiery nature, right? That can sometimes come across to people as like judgmental, or maybe that's just it's not with your words, but it's just your demeanor makes people feel like they are not good enough, or that they are not able to meet up to where you're at, that they are somehow below you or whatever, right? This is this might not even be where you're at now, but this is saying will be your challenge, and not necessarily saying that how other people are receiving us is necessarily our business, or like our karma is how we respond to other people. Their karma is how they respond to us, right? So that's, being clear about that. But essentially what I'm getting is that you guys, the 2022 is really you feeling like the king or queen of your castle. And I feel like you have gotten really comfortable with just like being a boss and, being really clear about what you do and do not want in your life, what you will and will not accept in your life. And so I feel like this is just, really being mindful of how you're going about ending certain connections, or how you go about creating boundaries for people. There's also a strong undertone here for this group in 2022 that, you're sharing from a place of where it feels genuine to do so. And you're not sharing things, whatever it is, whether that's resources, whether that's your time, your energy, whatever, you're not sharing it out of a sense of obligation with these two cards here. Because there is a sense of like bitterness that comes through with this pairing. Or feeling bitter, or of like feeling like you did all this on your own, or like I made it here. I started from the bottom and now I'm here. I did it all on my own. And so now these people are wanting favors from me, and they're wanting like handouts and etc. Right? And, understanding too that this is part of, these things are built in when we're living our dharma, right? When we're on our dharmic path, or when we are really living in alignment with what our soul's intention was, the main intention was for incarnation. It's like, just understand that what's built into being on your dharmic path are the lessons you need, right? So it's like, on one hand, you feel good. You feel like you're expanding out in all directions and you're continuing to grow. You're continuing to thrive. But then there's also going to be those things built in that encourage you to grow, that encourage you to step outside of yourself, that encourage you to step beyond yourself, right? Essentially, the path of dharma is when you've taken karma, when you're transmuting karma and you're turning that into dharma. So I mean, you guys might have even had like this mentality or this way that you've carried about yourself of like, mine, it's mine, right? That might have come from an imbalance that happened in your childhood. It's nothing to judge, right? There's nothing to judge here. This is just saying that there are some imbalances in the way that you maybe talk to people, or in the way that you share of certain resources that will definitely become evident in 2022 in your idea of abundance, your idea of prosperity, your idea of giving, your idea of generosity as a main theme that's coming through. Again, not doing things out of obligation and not doing things out of spite, but doing things because, you know, the king and its power, the king or queen and their power is someone, it's an individual that just naturally, like, that's what they're there for, right? They have been given that position because they care for the well-being of everyone. You know, and the only time that energy becomes distorted is when it's like they got there because they wanted the power, they wanted the recognition, they wanted it, right? And so that can make these other energies a little bit hard to work through: the greed, the lust, the wanting it yesterday, right? And just how we talk to people, right? Spitting poison at people, spitting venom at people. But when in its power, it's like naturally, even if those subtle purges are there because you're a human and you're connected to the collective consciousness of the planet and whatever generational karma you had coming in, and you know, there's a lot of different aspects where this is not saying that this is a you thing, right? You know, if it's a trigger, if it's happening, yeah, on one level you can say it's a you thing, but all of the karma on the planet is shared, right? So this could just be saying too that there was an imbalance where maybe you guys were in a very impoverished state when you were younger, or like parents didn't have a lot of money, or you didn't have a lot of money, or you know, it's kind of this energy I'm getting of feeling like, oh, we don't have very much, so we need to save what we do have, right? And maybe even feeling bitter when you didn't have very much, and then like your parents still gave things to other people, right? Or they were still very generous or something, right? There's a sense of bitterness behind giving for whatever reason. That is a main challenge. That's going to be a big challenge in 2022 for you guys. But ultimately, you know, it's born of success, right? It's interesting because generally when we think of success, we think that there's no more challenges to be had, but there come within itself, its own playing ground, right? Its own field of challenges. I am seeing a correlation here between the colors here, right? The colors of the rays, and then this. So it's like the challenge is born of success, right? What built you up can also be, when it becomes too distorted, can also be the very thing that destroys you, right? And so maintaining a balance, maintaining a humble heart, a sense of humility about you, and remembering where true prosperity is born. True prosperity is when we're experiencing the richness of relationships. Relationships is what makes our life what it is, right? It's not the things, it's not the money. That can enhance memories that we make with other people and just experiences that then we are able to have, but that's not necessary. Those things aren't necessary in order to have deep connections with other people. And so it's just remembering what's really important in the year of 2022, because I think this is a level of success that you might not be used to. I feel like maybe overall you have felt you've probably felt very secure in just like who you are. But I am getting the sense of material abundance. I am seeing this to be like a coin, or like a, representing, what is it called? A pentacle. And then I'm seeing a pearl here. So remembering where true prosperity is, and within your connections, and understanding that, are we really successful if you know, there's not other people around us just as successful, right? If our success lies in, you know, that sense of hierarchy, and I'm not saying this is you guys, but just to really drive this point home, if our sense of success lies in other people being below us, then you are not truly successful, and it's really likely that you're going to lose it, right? But when it becomes about how can we all grow, how can we all thrive, how can we all be the rulers of our own domains, how can I share my knowledge, how can I share what I can in a way that I'm not like I'm teaching people how to fish for themselves versus giving them fish, right? that kind of thing. So ultimately, you know, every pile has been this dichotomy of like, wow, going in with a lot of strength, going in with a lot of power, which is great because it's there to help you, right? That's the dharmic path. It's there. Your strengths, your karmas and your dharmas are quite intertwined with one another. So really about generosity in all of its sense, and not doing things out of a sense of guilt or obligation. But and if you do feel that, investigating why that's there, right? That's not just there for no reason. There's a belief there, and it might not even be necessary to get to the point of the belief or to the root of it, but just being like, oh, I was really triggered by that. And just that acknowledgement of that can help release the energy, right? Not holding on to the energy or not trying to figure it out, right? Just letting go, releasing, right? Major theme for 2022. So if this brought peace, contentment, whatever clarity to your heart, please give this video a thumbs up, comment anything down below that you feel guided to, and I hope I see you guys soon.